Hi everybody, it's Kris here from the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Just to let you know, as always, this podcast is now part of the 90-Minute Football Network and proudly sponsored by www.pt-4-u.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. We are just going to get straight into it. As you can see, I am joined by Deka. We are both smiling. It's going to take a long time to take these smiles off our faces. Deka, say the magic words, mate.
Well, won you now. Get in.
Get in.
Get in there.
Mate, how good did that feel? So last night, Friday night game, St. James's Park, under the light, against an opposition who I feel as if today people aren't giving enough credit. Wolves challenging for the top six. Mate, all 3 points stayed at St. James's Park. And it's hard to explain how much that what's a word I'm looking for? How much, not confidence, well, probably confidence that gives us now, thinking we've probably done enough now.
I would say so. Because I think, bearing in mind we had 3 bad results. Certainly the last one. Was a bad result. Yeah. Obviously, getting thumped 5-1, it was awful. And there's that. I'm not saying that maybe the players felt that way, but there's that little sort of seed of doubt, isn't there, where you think, oh, is this going to be a bad run of form, or we're going to get dragged back into it? I totally agree with what you're saying there about Wolves not getting enough credit. I think, as you say, they're a side that is comfortably in the top half every season, certainly for a while. The top 8 challenging for Europe and stuff like that, and they've been certainly good away from home this season as well. So
great record away from home, mate.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, don't get us wrong. It was, which we're going to quickly get into. I mean, the game itself, the way it played out and things, but at the end of the day, that 3 points is massive. And now I feel like the pressure's off and we're going to be okay. I think you could also see that at the end of the game with some of the players, their reaction, Eddie Howe's reaction at the end of the game, walking around sort of like that sort of mini lap of honour, which they often do. It felt a little bit different this time. It felt as if like maybe we've done it. So
it gave me vibes of like end of season sort of vibes. And obviously the atmosphere at St. James's Park last night, especially at full time, through the roof. The noise when that full-time whistle went.
Yeah.
And it was like, it just felt like a weight off your shoulders because, yes, we'll have that great run of form, 9 games unbeaten. But then, despite how much the likes of ourselves were thinking, we're safe, don't worry about other teams, it was getting a little bit worrying that certain teams were picking results up. And we weren't at that point, obviously 3 defeats on the bounce there. And we said, if we pick 4 points up over the next 3 home games, which we've got coming up, then job done for us. We've got 3 in the first ask. And we've got 3 points there, mate. And you look at those games, and we're not even talking about Norwich away, which is obviously the game after those home games. And you're thinking now, surely we've done enough. And despite what Everton are doing, despite what Burnley are doing, hopefully, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, we've probably done enough, mate. What I want to give praise to here is, it's Eddie Howe once again, mate. Difficult decisions to be made, and he brings Bruno into the team. Bruno's first start at St. James's Park, so his debut there. And how good is he, mate? And I know we sit every single Monday. We'll sit around this table where I am here today, and we'll just wax lyrical about Bruno and how good he is and how lucky we are to have him at this football club, mate. It gets better each week.
Yeah, well, obviously Mark is, Mark often always says how much he, loves him and just we'll talk about Bruno all night, right? And we've seen it in spells when he's come off the bench for a few minutes here and there, and I think he's one of these players where he's only on the field for 5 to 10 minutes, and there's these stats just like so many dribbles, passes, interceptions, tackles, and he's only been on the pitch for minutes. Obviously, Southampton away was he scored his first goal, which was an amazing goal, and he played well. But an overall performance yesterday was outstanding. I mean, it was absolutely outstanding last night. He's levels above anything we've had in midfield for years. And as much as I'm a fan of Shelby, and I often always say that I think he brings a lot to it, you could see the sheer difference in ability from a likes of a John Joe to him. The thing that I think I said this last week or perhaps the week before that I love about him is he'll do the dirty work when he needs to. He'll play a pass, but then he's forward thinking. He wants to get the ball back. And for example, the goal that got disallowed, the Woods first goal, if you like, that got disallowed, he picks up the ball, plays a great 1-2 and gets in a dangerous area. Whereas the likes of your John Joes would play the pass, but then that's it. He wouldn't think about moving on. He was outstanding last night and ran the show. So that's just one performance, his first home game. Obviously, of course, people have dips in form. That's life, right? Not everyone can play well for 50 games a season. But if you can get that out of him 6 or 7 times out of 10, my God, like, you've got one of the best midfielders in the world. So yeah,
it means hands down. I don't think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah, and like you just said, the glimpses that we've seen from prior to start at St James's Park last night, it has been fantastic. And do you think that's him cementing his place in that midfield now?
I mean, he's undroppable on that, isn't he? On that performance, he's undroppable. And we always knew that you're trying to fit 4 into 3. That we always knew that there's going to be someone going to get the nose sort of out of place, and could it be through injury, could it be through suspension? This particular chance just came through injury because Willock's got a knee problem, and that's how Bruno's came in. Now, I wonder secretly, I bet Eddie Howe was like, I know it sounds tough to say what I'm going to say here, but well, if he's hurt, I can now play Bruno, and no one's going to be like, I'm not upsetting anybody because it's almost forcing me hand to do that. And now I think the question you go back to is, until we get another either a really bad performance or an injury, Willock, you're going to have to wait, mate. You're going to have to wait to come back in because I can't change that, and you've run again with that 3,
I think this is the first time now, Deka, where those middle 3, and I know previously we had Joe Willock and Shelby performing unbelievably well in that run of fixtures. We were 9 games there, mate. But now I think Bruno coming in that mix, I think it's going to take a lot for that to budge. When previously over the last handful of games, we're thinking, does Bruno come into the team? Does Willock get his chance? Does Shelby start? Obviously Joe was always going to be first name on the team sheet at the minute. But now, for me, those middle 3, you just trial that, see what happens, despite what might happen in fixtures. You just trial that now, because going forward, it's going to be Bruno and Joe, at least. Those 2 are going to be in there. It's Joe Linton and Brazilians World Cup duo in midfield at the minute. But I can't find enough words to express how good that was last night with Bruno. Well, I really can't.
I definitely think if you're considering trying to bring someone back in or change it, Bruno is the one of all of them 4 that you can't really take out, can you? Because of what he can do. And you seen last night, the kid's got it all. Like, he's got everything.
He's versatile, isn't he, in that midfield role?
He's unbelievable. He really is. And I think as well, from coming from the French league, and I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but people could question, but can he get used to the aggression? Is he going to be up to the pace? He has come in and just looked immediately fine with it all, like all of it. And I think we all knew that he has class and he's got talent and all the rest of it. But what's impressed me is how he's just been able to come in and looks like he's been playing the Premier League all his life. That's what I find quite amazing.
Yeah, that's me. Going back to the game itself, though, we needed a huge reaction from that embarrassing defeat at Spurs at previous weekend. And defence done the job last night, mate. I know Wolves weren't much of a threat, but we've done the basics right last night. We really did. Dubravka pulled off a couple of decent saves as well. There was one fantastic one, mate. But that defensive line, once again, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, and you 2 wing backs, mate. Once again, Target, just another one that was brought into the team, and he's just changed everything. He really has, and I think previously, I think we would have probably gave a lot of our fullbacks probably too much credit, looking at the likes of the performances you're getting from the likes of Target. Now, I think, Jesus Christ, this is what we've been missing. A player like that can do both, going forward and defend. Where previously we're being like, he's doing an all right job. Look at Manquillo, for example. I love Manquillo, but you think, he's doing an all right job. But then you look at that from Target and you look at what we've had from Trippier in the past. And even Emil Kraft, I would say, he done a decent job against Wolves.
Yeah, this is one player I did want to shout out was Kraft, because I think it's, we're quick to criticise him, and we're quick to go, God, like we really missed Trippier, or we need to strengthen in that area. But he was excellent last night, like really, really good. I thought he was offering something going forward when he could. He was absolutely solid at the back. All four of them were excellent. And again, it's, you look at, like, so Lascelles will never get back into that side. He won't. I mean, we conceded 5 goals the week before, on the Sunday, and he still wasn't starting. Dan Burn and Shea have got a good relationship in there. They were solid. I do agree that Wolves didn't scare or offer that much. Certainly in the first half. The second half, they did start to get at it, and I thought that their left back, can't remember his name, sorry, he was getting an ache as a space, but didn't hurt her in the end. Didn't hurt her. But it was more like the Newcastle I've seen under Howe over that stretch of games where we've looked solid as a unit. We've had that one game against Spurs where, unfortunately, the wheels fell off. But other than that game, that was more like what I expected. We look organised, we look solid. Didn't ever look exposed in any great moments in the game. And as you say, the full and Dubravka didn't have much to do, but he made an unbelievable save in the second half.
We've seen that a few times, mate, and I know we didn't have a disagreement, but when we're doing the podcast a handful of months ago, people were saying Dubravka needs replaced, and I said, give him a chance, see what happens after January when you bring a better defensive lineup in front of him. And I think now, like you said there, mate, he's not had anything to do majority of the game, and when called upon, he does it, and that's, we know Dubravka can do that. He really can, as long as that defense is minimising the chances that are coming his way, which the previous lineup wasn't doing. Then he's a decent keeper. He really is a decent keeper, and I think he goes, once again, he's another one that goes under the radar, where he's a very good goalkeeper. Dubravka, yes, there's areas which he could improve his game, but I still think he's a top class goalkeeper. I really do, mate. Carry on, mate. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think what you're wanting is one to come away from a game and not mention him, and then that means everything's been fine. That's really what we're wanting. Before, back in the old days, if I like to call them, sometimes he was having to pull off 5, 6, 7 saves a game, and we're really calling upon him. Whereas at the moment, again, I'll take the Spurs game out of it, I'm not really seeing him have to do very much.
Well, even looking at the Spurs game, Deka, you look at the goals in the Spurs game, you think, what could Dubravka have done differently?
Right, exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's nothing he could have done. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's one of those things. But going around the field, mate, like we've obviously touched on midfield, another fantastic performance by midfield players. Obviously, Fraser went off injured. Almiron came. It didn't look great. That injury for Fraser. No, he went down, and he lasted another minute or so. Then he went down again. He didn't look comfortable going off that field, mate. So we'll wait and see what's happened with them.
Like a calf problem, didn't it? Looked like a calf problem, which could be a while. Like them kind of things. And he did try, but he, as you say, lasted a minute and knew I just can't continue. So.
Fingers crossed, it's not too bad, because we have seen Fraser with previous injuries, which kept him out for a long time.
Who did you want? Because I asked Matty who did you want to bring on? Did you want Murphy or Almiron? Who did you want? You wanted
Murphy. I thought it would have been Murphy, mate. To be honest, I got a fright. Well. Right there, shit me pants.
The picture fall off the wall by any chance?
I may, but I don't know where it's gone. I was a bit shocked when it was Miggy coming on.
Right.
Previous performances, but mate, he done really well when he came on.
Yeah, he did. I think I'd probably say more so working hard defensively, in
the usual get from me.
The usual. And I think I have to be honest here, and I know we're going to get onto them in a second, but obviously when the likes of Almiron's on there, I feel like the only real outlet we have is Maximum in regards to creating something. Whereas when Fraser's on, of course you get the hard work from Fraser, but you also have that bit of quality as well going forward, because that's his natural position, right? So you can hurt teams on both sides. I think when Almiron, I think Murphy's more dynamic than what I think Murphy can get past players better than Almiron can. For all, Almiron's got loads of pace, don't get us wrong. Yeah. But Almiron put in a real shift. And in fairness to him, done a lovely bit of skill for the goal that got disallowed. That back heel to Bruno was absolutely lush. Yeah. If you've seen it back, it was really, really nice because it was right in front of where I was sitting. But I thought Almiron did really well. Honestly, I thought he did great when he came on. And I thought, similar to the Everton away performance, I thought Almiron was probably the best player for us on that day against Everton. And maybe that's why Howe's obviously given that chance again. But a shame to lose Fraser, but I thought Almiron did well when he came on.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Looking over the other side, same Maximum. I think, do you know what is that? Like, we're saying you can say you're changing these games slightly over the last couple of games where he is passing the ball more, but there's still moments where you're thinking, just release it. Saying those once in the second half, you ran past 4 players, and there was somewhere, it might be, it must have been Kraft on the right hand side, just waiting to take the ball from him. Then he just kept on going. Then obviously lost the ball eventually, and it's so frustrating because it's probably. We're used as fans and doing this podcast and this YouTube channel that over so many amount of games, all that we would speak about how good Saint was, how good he was. But that was highlighted because the rest of the team were pretty poor, to be honest with you. Now, because you've got players like Joe Linton, you've got Bruno performing well, you've got Fraser, you've got Miggy coming off the bench who had a great game, you've got Target, you've got Kraft, you've got Dan Burn, you've got every single player up in the game. Maybe we're criticising Saint a little bit too much now because he's not that sole outlet that we've got anymore.
Yeah, I think as well. I think trying to be fair to him, the bar was set incredibly high by himself from the performances that we've seen. Perhaps maybe under Steve Bruce, you could say him and Callum Wilson kept up right in many ways because of their goals and contributions. Mm-hmm. I thought last night. Was quite frustrating in his performance. But it's a funny one because there was a few times, I might just go on a bit here, so I apologise, but sitting around us, right, if I'm being honest, there was quite a lot of negativity towards not just Maxim, loads of players. There was a few moments where Target did, I thought, quite a good defensive header, but unfortunately it went to one of their players, bang, they were on his back. And I found that quite often, and Maximum was obviously getting it nearly all the time. And there was a few moments where, like, I'll cut to one, for example. Can you remember the one in the second half where he sprinted forward, beat a couple of men, and he played Bruno in? And Bruno had a shot, and I think it took a deflection and just trickled past the post. From where I was sitting, I thought it was in, personally. I thought that was really, really good. That was great. I thought, you've done the hard work and you've released the pass. Great. But then I think a couple of minutes later, he beats 4 players, doesn't pass it to Kraft. The men you've just mentioned. I thought he released the ball a little bit more than usual. Mm-hmm. But there's still them frustrating times where, he chooses the wrong option or he holds onto the ball too long. The one thing I would say, I didn't feel he gave up. I always felt that he was prepared to have the ball, whether it was the 20th minute or the 90th minute. He's still not performing how we know he can perform. Don't get us wrong. Yeah. But I thought that was a little bit more like what we know he can be like. But far from good enough, if you know what I mean. But I'm not on Twitter as much as I have been checking a few things, but I've kind of moved it off my home screen because I find I'm on it too much. But when I went on, I found it a little bit awful that we've won a game of football, a huge one, massive 3 points, and I still found most of the comments were about him and his performance. Yeah. I'm thinking, is there really any need? I don't really think there is, but I didn't think he was that bad to warrant what I was saying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you.
But obviously, a lot of people probably think I'm just going to sit here and defend him. I will stress again, he was a 5 or 6 out of 10. I didn't think he was great, but I honestly, truly believe that he was passing the ball and releasing the ball more than I've seen him do in previous weeks. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. I really do. Moving on to our main striker, our only striker at the moment, Chris Wood. Chris Wood is coming under some huge criticism over the last handful of weeks, probably since I mentioned this on the match preview, which I also predicted Newcastle United win. Only one that predicted the win, mate.
Did you see the score? Did you see the score line? Or?
I can't remember.
You said they'd win.
But I think I said Chris Wood would score. Wood score. Lot of wood. We had a lot of wood last night.
I did. I had some wood last night, I tell you.
But yeah.
He's got wood,
Huge amount of criticism for him because he is our striker and he wasn't scoring goals. When the defeats start coming, 3 back-to-back defeats, that's when we start criticising our striker, despite their involvement previously in those 9 games.
You're right there.
We have wanted Chris Wood to score so much just to get people off his back. I'm not saying that the criticism has been undeserved at times because I think we've mentioned before, and I think you've highlighted this, Deka, some games he cannot control a ball. He really can't control a ball at times. But last night, I thought he had a really good game last night. I really did, holding the ball up really well and obviously scored the goal, which was disallowed. But wins a penalty for ourselves. And I think it's Saint that gets the ball first of all to get Wood involved in that one.
I did mean to quickly mention that was a lovely move from Joe Linton and Wood and all of them, but the ball from Saint, that little back heel by Saint was absolutely class to start the move. Like.
Yeah. So Chris Wood goes down, and yes, he's never winning that ball after he touches it, but the keeper comes out and he connects with him. He does. It's penalty all day long, despite what people might disagree with that. It's 100% a penalty. When he picks that ball up and puts that in the penalty spot, Deka, facing the Gallowgate, what did you think, mate? Were you as nervous as me? Because I was shitting my pants. I was getting flashbacks of when we were desperate for Joe Linton to grab his goal and we're giving him a penalty and he missed the penalty. Yeah. I was thinking, shit.
I wouldn't say I was nervous. I did comment to someone to my left. I said, like, God, he's got some balls here. Like, I mean, you know, to take it. And I appreciate he does take penalties. Do you know what I mean? But that was a huge moment. That was a real pressure moment. I think in terms of his performance, just briefly, it's really hard for him. Like, I mean, up there on his own. There was lulls in the game, and I, you know, I did feel like it would have been nice to have a different option up front that could give him more than what he gets. It's not his fault. That's just the player that he is.
Just to change it.
Yeah, like there was, because I thought parts of the game was really both teams cancelled each other out, and I thought, you know, if we had Wilson today, just to be able to run in the channel or run in behind, give us something different. But Wood was doing what he could, and that ball, their centre half is a beast, right? He's a big lad, right? So we were playing long balls. It was hard work for him, but his run for the penalty to make that penalty was excellent. I thought really, really good. Stayed on side and he won the penalty and he finished it really, really well. And I was so happy for him because bear in mind he had the first goal disallowed, which by the way he did well on that goal because he fell at the ground. He did well. And you could see the relief, couldn't you? On both moments actually, when you watched the replay of the first goal, he knew how much that meant. And do you know what makes it a little bit more special that it's over with now? That he's the winning goal. It's 1-0. He scored it. Yeah, that's what makes it a little bit more. I'm kind of glad now. It sounds tough to say this, but if we won 2-0, it takes the shine off. I love how it was 1-0 and he scored, and I love that.
No, it makes sense, mate. It really does, and hopefully that'll get people off his back a little bit because
you hope so.
How many times have we sat here? No matter what the striker it is, whether it's him, whether it's Joe Linton, whether it's Rondon, Hosselu, it could be anybody, mate. They've all got a task which we're always going to criticize them because they're feeding off scraps and they're not going to score goals in those positions.
There's so many times yesterday where I was saying to Matty, there's just nobody close enough to them, you know. And part of us would love to see. I'm not saying do this because that means you lose your wit, but if you put Saint or Maxi right up with him, you know, like and trying to, if Wood can get a flick on or cause a bit of trouble, I just think when he's up on his own up front. And you've got two centre halves hanging off his shirt. He's got a thankless task. Mate, in my opinion.
There was one point towards the end of the game. It must have been in the last 10 minutes, and Saint was up top. And I at one point I was like, I can't remember Chris Wood going off the field. Yeah, I was looking everywhere from him, and he was almost in defence, like tracking back to get the ball back. And I looked at my sister there, and I was going, "Have we took Wood off? Like, has he gone off?" And she's like, "No, he's still on the field now." And me, honestly, I was going, "What the fuck? Like, why is he back there?"
A guy next to me said he went, "Where's Wood gone?" And then his mate went, "He's down there." He puts a shift in. There's no question of that. There's no doubt in that. And as I say, I just feel sometimes when in isolation you can come away from a game and listen, I've said it as well. I've said I didn't really think he did much there, but there were certain times I was watching yesterday and I was thinking, Christ, like what can he do? Like we're just we're hitting long balls to him and it's very difficult. There's nobody in and around him. So, yeah, it is tough for him, but I'm really pleased that he scored. I totally agree with you that I just feel sometimes people just like to be on players' backs, I think. And Wood's been one of them. Sometimes it's Kraft, it's often Maximum. Sometimes it's Shelby. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's I don't know why everyone has to have their sort of day in the sun of being getting targeted like that. I don't really get it. Like, but, you know, it is what it is.
And one of the great things about last night, mate, is that those 3 points, yes, they're fantastic, but they mean even more now on the back of the earlier result. Everton picking up 3 points against Man U. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, if we hadn't got all 3 points last night and Everton went and got 3 points today, I'd be thinking way more in this battle than what I thought I was. But like I said at the very start,
I feel like we're looking up now rather than behind.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Like, I think we're only 3 points off the ninth now, and I think is it Palace? I think I know them will play obviously, but I think Palace have been fantastic this season. I think Vieira has done a brilliant job. And I look at the table, I think we're only 3 points behind them. And I'm thinking, wow, that is an unbelievable turnaround. And it's all down to Eddie Howe. Let's be quite honest. Of course, the players have had to do it as well. But Howe has changed the culture. He's changed the environment. He's changed formation, if you like. It's been night and day, hasn't it, from where we were? So
it has been. It has been, and this is why, obviously, as a fan base, we were so pissed off previously how things were at the club, because we could see what needed to be changed. Obviously, the new ownerships came in, and look at what's happened, mate. It's the turnaround is remarkable. It really is. For we were all sat here before the Mike Ashley left and sold the club and said destined for relegation. Put us 20th. We'll end up 20th. And you look at this now, and like you said, rather than looking over our shoulders, we're looking forward to see, right, let's see where we can finish, then we'll push on next season. That's the difference right now. And it's been a long time since we've been able to see that, mate.
You can feel the mentality changing, can't you, within the club, you know? And
it's everything, mate. It's everything. Even the atmosphere inside the ground now, it's nowhere near as negative of what it has been. I know wall flags are a huge contribution to that, getting the atmosphere up right from the very start. Fabulous. Great last night. See married at Amanda's husband as well, waving his flag. Yeah. Unreal, mate. And the interaction which we're getting, it's second to none, mate. But yeah, anything else to add before we wrap this one up?
No, mate. No, I think I've said everything I wanted to say, really. Aye.
Well, if you do remember,
I'll see you Monday, I guess, mate.
I'll see you on Monday. Yeah. If you remember anything else, and anybody that is new to the channel, we do a Monday night podcast, the Always Smiling Faces podcast. It's myself, Kris Deka, Mark, and Bestie every single Monday night at 8:10. We'll do at least an hour recording live where everybody can get involved. I think it's going to be a good week for us, mate. Like I said at the very start, it's going to take a lot to take the smiles off our faces. There will be more content coming your way, just to look back on that result, and obviously looking forward for the rest of the season, because like we just said, it's no more looking over our shoulders, hopefully looking forward and see what the future holds for this football club. Thank you very much, mate. Do you want to sign out with the magic words?
Well, why not? Might as well, mightn't I? Well, one, you know, get in.